you had lost consciousness. You may or may not have returned to this earth. So when you are opening your eyes, it is not just an accident. Hundreds of thousands of various agents are working behind it. It's a deep organization within your mind and also spread over all other parts of the body, which is working for the safeguard and the safety of your return to this life again, this conscious life again. Now the scientists are trying to understand these phenomena, but so far they admit that they are just moving along the peripheries. But in reality they have understood this, that they simply cannot count the factors involved in the phenomenon of sleep and return to the wakefulness. All the factors involved are so many that so far they have not been able to lay their hands and fingers upon even say 100,000. And they are just beginning to understand something of that nature happening within the human mind and elsewhere in the body, in the nervous system. So now coming back to the question of La Tosuha, and realizing just one small favor of Allah, having this depth behind it, then you begin to understand the meaning of these favors and how you are to realize that every moment of your life is under Allah's obligation and there is some benefactor who is constantly showing his favors to you. Now, opening of the eyes is just the first instance. When you look at the one for whom Allah tells us He created the universe, when we look at His reaction, we immediately find that at each opening of the eye, in all his life, he prayed to Allah. He thanked Allah. How many among us are such who can boast of even 1,000th time this? Or maybe 100,000th time of this? So just from this small incident, this can be demonstrated and this can be proved beyond doubt. That when Allah makes His choice, it is the choice. No alteration can be made in that choice. When Allah addresses Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, telling him, "Lawlaka lama khalaqtuk aflaka," he knows in every detail how grateful he is to him. The whole life is an expression of gratitude and nothing more. And yet, as far as he himself is concerned, he considers that he has not met the requirements. He has not fulfilled his obligations in this regard. And constantly offering istighfar. That is another aspect of those about whom the Surah Fatiha tells us, Anamta alayhim. O Lord, you have showed your favors upon them. So immediately, a completely new path is carved out of our previous imagination. Now Sirat al-Mustaqim means a very different thing. In this Sirat al-Mustaqim, each step requires a very definite behavior. It is the conduct of those who tread the path which will determine whether that path is to be named Sirat al-Mustaqim or not. So at each treading of the path, you carve your own Sirat. This could turn either into Sirat al-Mustaqim al-lazina anamta alayhim or Sirat al-lazina ghayr maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. So when you wake up in the morning and the first thought which comes to your mind is, now that crime which I left out yesterday, I should take up the thread from there and now finish that. or I'll do this and that to such and such person, deprive him of his due rights, or rob somebody, or steal somebody's property, or hurt someone, or misappropriate anybody's pleasures. Now that is a thought that can come to some people's mind at the first waking. So they have also been shown a favor of Allah, no doubt. But that is no longer a favor now. This is what I mean. I understand from the verse, Siratul Lazina Anamta Alayhim, Ghairil Maghdubi Alayhim. There is no contradiction in this. It is the same path of favors of Allah which is turned regularly and constantly by human beings into a path of wrath of Allah, or the path of those who have gone astray. Now most of the favors mentioned in this ruku which I have recited belong to the general favors which are common to the whole mankind. So this is why I related this to Rububiyyat. Now we turn to a comparatively narrower ground. Here Allah talks of such favors as are not shown to everyone, but to a chosen few. And it is not only the religious phenomena which is discussed here, but also worldly favors of some other type, for which Allah sometimes chooses a people to judge their conduct, how they behave. And the verse which I have in mind is this: وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَىٰ لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ اذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ جَعَلَ فِيكُمْ أَنْبِيَاءَ وَجَعَلَكُمْ مُلُوكًا وَآتَاكُمْ مَا لَمْ يُؤْتِ أَحَدًا مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. And remember the time when Moses said to his people, O my people, call to mind Allah's favor upon you when He appointed prophets among you and made you kings and gave you what He gave not to others among other people. Now this is a verse where favor of Allah, the word favor of Allah is applied to the spiritual world as well as to the material world with a limited connotation, or limited connotation in relation to the one which I have just presented to you. There the word favor of Allah was applied to everything. Here it applies to His people on whom Allah has specially shown two types of favors. Number one, He made prophets among them. And number two, He made them kings. Now I want to point out that a very fine distinction is made by the choice of words, in the choice of words by Allah in this verse. When it says Allah made prophets, it says Allah made prophets among you. And when it mentions